Good morning, guys. It is Monday, May the 11th, and I have Lily in my lap. I don't know how long she'll make it, but she wanted to get up in my lap, so I let her. But anyway, I misspoke last week. I thought that was going to be my last week of new videos, but we did receive guidance that we should provide new instruction through the 15th. So this will be my last week. We will have today, where I will do the lesson, and then we will have 4 days of Miss Trisha's tips of the day. So I hope that you will tune in for one more week of occupational therapy content. I hope that things have been going very well for you at home and that you are preparing to have a wonderful summer with your family. So today we are going to do a summer story. It is called Henry and Mudge in the Forever Sea. I hope that we're able to visit swimming pools and maybe the ocean this summer. I have a beach trip scheduled at the end of June. I certainly hope that I'm able to go. I love the beach. So anyway, that is why I selected this book for today. I thought it would be appropriate for our last week together. Remember to be reviewing your personal information, your name, your phone number maybe, your address, your birthday, your parents' names. All of those things are great to be working on. And so, let's move on to our story. It is called Henry and Mudge and the Forever Sea. To the beach. It was summer vacation and Henry and his big dog Mudge were going to the beach. Mudge had never been to the beach. Henry promised he would like it. "You'll like the waves," he said, "and the sandcastles and the shells, but don't drink the water," he warned. "Too salty." They went in the car with Henry's father. In Henry's bag were green goggles, a yellow bucket, an orange shovel, and a dump truck. In Mudge's bag were a blue bowl, a jug of water, half of a bone, and a tennis ball. In Henry's father's bag were a book about shells, 6 towels, and a red rubber lobster he liked to bring along. They sang sea songs all the way. Henry's father said "yo-ho-ho" about 100 times. Henry acted like a shark. Mudge just wagged. They couldn't wait to get there. This is called the Forever Sea. "I see it," Henry shouted. The ocean was waiting. It was blue and white and forever. Henry's father honked the car horn. Mudge barked. They parked the car and ran for the sand. Mudge got there first. He ran right into the water. Splash! Henry was second. Splash! Henry's father was third. Splash! The white foam rushed around their legs. They laughed and hopped and ran. A big wave knocked Henry down. He rolled all the way to the shore. "Wow," said Henry. He got up and ran back in. Henry's father rode a wave like he was a surfboard. He rode it all the way back to shore. "Wow," he said. He got up and ran back in. Mudge was not as brave as Henry and Henry's father. He just ran along the edge. He stayed out of the big waves. But still, he got so wet that he looked like a whale with legs. They all played a long time. For lunch, Henry and Mudge and Henry's father walked to a hot dog stand. Henry had a hot dog with ketchup. Henry's father had a hot dog with ketchup and mustard and onions and slaw and chili and cheese. "Yuck," said Henry. Mudge had 3 hot dogs, plain, in one gulp. After lunch, Henry and his father began to build a sandcastle. Henry made the moats. Henry's father made the towers. Mudge made a nice bed and went to sleep. When the castle was finished, Henry's father stuck his red rubber lobster on the tallest tower. Then he and Henry clapped their hands. Suddenly, a giant wave washed far on the sand, and it covered everything. It covered the moats, it covered the towers, it covered Mudge, who woke up. "Oops," said Henry. "Save that lobster," cried Henry's father. The water was pulling it out to sea. Mudge ran and jumped into the waves. He caught the lobster before it was lost forever. "Good dog," said Henry's father. "Brave dog," said Henry. They all had cherry ice cream cones to celebrate. At the end of the day, it was time to say goodbye to the ocean. Henry and Mudge and Henry's father walked along the sand, watching the orange sun set, watching the water sparkle green and yellow. Suddenly, a crab popped out from under the sand. It came up sideways very fast, so fast that Mudge nearly stepped on it. "Look out, Mudge," Henry said. Mudge stopped and put his nose to the sand. The crab looked at him and he looked at the crab. "I can't tell if that is the front of the crab or the back of the crab," said Henry's father. Suddenly the crab ran sideways away from them. Mudge chased it. It popped back under the sand. Henry looked at its new hole. "Wow," he said. "Wow," said his father. Mudge stuck his nose into the hole, but nobody came out. "Since we can't have crab for dinner," said Henry's father, "I guess we'll have to have another cherry snow cone." Henry cheered and hugged him. As they walked down the sand, Mudge stuck his nose into every hole he saw. But nobody ever came out. The end. So parents, as you are reading stories, remember we've talked about talking about what happens first, and then what happens in the middle, and then what happens at the end of the story. Another thing that you could do is you could talk about the setting of your stories, where do they take place, and also predictions for stories, like what do you think happened next? Like what do you think happened next with Henry and Mudge? Where do you think they were staying while they were at the beach? Just encourage your child to use their imaginations. I find that a lot of my students have a really hard time with that, so that'll be really helpful to talk about while you're reading stories. So, we're going to use our same trick that we've been doing with all of our stories, and we're going to think about what happened first, second, and third in this story. There were several different little chapters, but we're going with kind of the first couple of chapters, where first of all, we know that Henry and Mudge went to the beach. Secondly, they were excited to see the ocean. And then last, they had fun playing in the waves. So, you could do that for any of the little chapters in the book. Any story that you're reading is going to have a first, middle, and ending section. So, come up with your sentences. I'm going to use the second sentence, and I mixed up the words. They were excited to see the ocean. So then you're going to do your lines for your child, one line per word, and use your mixed up words to the side so your child knows how to spell the words. We're working on the mechanics of handwriting, not spelling per se, though you are working on phonics since you mixed up the words. If your child is able to do that. If not, you can just do them in order. That's fine too. Remember to start at the top. They, watch how you're doing each letter. They were, practice the letters that are harder for you, like those E's. Excited to see the ocean. And at the end of this particular sentence, I'm going to do an exclamation point because we're saying they were excited. So that gives you a chance to talk with your child about the exclamation point or the question mark or the period. So you can kind of incorporate a language arts lesson in with your handwriting time. So, our activity for today involves tissue paper art. I picked up this pack of tissue paper at the dollar store. Y'all know Miss Trish likes the dollar store. You can get lots of good things for $1 in there. This is a pack of rainbow colors. Parents, you can have your child use their scissors to cut a strip. You could draw a line on it if you need to, or just have your child practice cutting. Cutting is a great bilateral activity, and I encourage you to do it. With this particular activity, you can just use tearing the paper into smaller pieces. You don't have to cut. Just tear your paper into little pieces like this. Once you get a small stack of paper, you're ready to go. Remember from a couple of weeks ago, I had this coloring book. It was just $1 also at the dollar store. Tear a paper out, and then we're going to take one of our pieces and we're going to scrunch it. We're going to smush it into a little tiny piece of paper. And for this activity, I like using the wet glue. I had a little trouble with the glue a minute ago because it's very old, but I like wet glue better than the stick glue for this tissue paper activity. So put your glue on the paper, and then you're going to put your paper on your picture. So this is just a cool thing that you can do with tissue paper that you might have lying around, or if you are able to, you can go buy some, or let me know and I will bring you the rest of this pack. If you don't have a coloring book, you could also just draw a couple of pictures. I'm not a great artist, but I did a flower and I did a house. Same idea. You're just going to smush the paper, put your glue on the paper. Uh-oh, this is some really old glue, I'm telling you. Put your glue on the paper and then put your paper on the picture. So, that is tissue paper art, and that is my activity suggestion to go along with my story today. So, that's all I have for today. This is, like I said, Monday, May the 11th, and it is the beginning of the very last week that I will be uploading new content. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you'll tune in for my final 4 tips of the day. All right, bye-bye.